Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 2nd February 2026. So let's get started with our discussion. And today's entire our discussion will be surrounding around single subject, that is your economy, because yesterday's February 1st budget had been introduced in Parliament. So most of our newspaper is grappled by the articles related to our budget. Okay, so here the first one here is I will be telling about the facts regarding what is this budget is about and which articles of our constitution talks about this budget, and especially what are the documents which will be there in this part of budget, and you have to see the what is the process of this passing of the budget in the parliament, and we are going to see the important schemes. And for UPSC, not only in mains, even the prelims and as well as interview also, you will be getting lots of questions in from your budget. Especially from prelims point of view, you have to see only the budget speech. Yesterday, have you watched the news channels? Anyone? If you have watched the news channels, our finance minister read something, right, about what are the changes that we are going to make in this year in our economy. So those are nothing but the budget speech, and whatever the schemes she uttered, you have to know about that. And I came up with certain schemes and certain areas where you can expect your prelims based questions from this budget, and I will be also sharing one document related to this synopsis of the budget in your group. So go through that thoroughly, guys. If you're not doing that, then you will be missing at least 2 to 3 questions in your prelims. And in the mains point of view, here you can use these schemes as value addition for your answers related to your mains. And next one here is if you're going to your interview, and if interview is after this February 1st, this year the last day of interview will be 27th February. And this year you can expect the results in the first week of March itself. It is far early than compared to that of earlier times. Okay, if your interview in case in future, if it is after this budget, after this February 1st, for sure you will be getting good number of questions in interview related to this budget also. Just I am intimating you for your knowledge, that's it. Okay, now let us see here what is this budget. If you see the front page of our newspaper, it is your entire front page of your newspaper today. Whatever the edition you take, international edition or Delhi edition, Hyderabad or whatever it may be, the first page is this. So here they are saying about capex scale up. Union budget sets center's capital expenditure target at rupees 12.2 lakh crore. India must stay deeply integrated with global markets, attracting stable long-term investment, says our finance minister. So before going into this article, let us see what is this budget. Have you heard about this word budget? Normally in our day-to-day life also we'll talk that there is no budget mama today. Let's postpone this so and so celebrations like that, right? So what is the budget to you? Why will you use this budget word? Budget is nothing but amount. Only amount that is there in your pocket or anything that you can add. It includes what? Okay, it includes both income and as well as expenditure. If you take at individual level, for example, now you are doing your preparation for UPSC and now you are staying in hostels. Again, you have to see like how much amount of money that you will get from your family and how much expenditure you have. Yes or no? For example, if you are getting 10,000 rupees per month, you have to pay around 7,000 rupees per your hostel and PG. And again, you will be having your own expenditure, right? And you will be tallying like how much you are getting, whether it is enough or not. If it is enough, what happens? It's okay. If it is not enough, what will you do? You'll borrow sometimes from your friends. You'll borrow from other relatives or your siblings. That will comes under debt. For example, if you are getting 10,000 rupees and you are spending 9,000 rupees only per month, then what is the amount that is there? 1,000 rupees which is there extra with you, that will becomes your savings. You'll save that 1,000 rupees, and if there is any expenditure in the later on, then you will use that savings amount for expenditure, right? In the same way, government also will do this kind of estimates, like from where government is getting money and how government is spending that money. And as you all know that whatever the revenue that government is getting, it is not at all sufficient for sure. So it will go outside and it will borrow money. That is called as debt. So this budget talks about how much amount of revenue government is getting from different sources and how much amount of expenditure it is doing. And here we have different sectors in our economy. Like we have agriculture, we have industries, we have service sector, we have quaternary, we have queenery, and as well as government has to take care of even vulnerable people of the society. Who are the vulnerable people? SCs, STs, elderly people, physically disabled people, okay, like that. So for them also government is spending certain amount of money as social welfare schemes, right? So here in this budget it includes all the documents where government is getting money from and how government is spending that money. If government is bringing certain loans, or if government is borrowing some money within India or outside India, so what are those details? Everything will be submitted by the government. And not only this, what government will include? Now we have different ministries. Can you tell me some examples of ministries? Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Social Welfare, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Skill Development, Ministry of Education. Like that we have around 59 ministries at central level. And all these ministries, they need certain amount of money to do certain work for the larger public interest, yes or no? So for that, what happens here is every ministry will be giving their outlay, like what are the schemes you are running and how much amount of the money that they spent last year and how much amount of money that they need this year, so that they can run that scheme. So here they will also introduce these kind of slips which are given by different ministries regarding their schemes. And apart from that, if they want to introduce any new kind of schemes, they will also introduce that kind of new types of schemes and how much amount of money they want to run that scheme in this budget. Have you understood what is this budget? Budget includes revenue part and as well as expenditure part. And not only that, even if they are getting money outside India as part of loans or grants or whatever it may be, those details will be also there. Apart from that, which ministry wants how much amount of money, and if they want to introduce any new schemes, they will give all the details of this new schemes case. Okay, now let us see the basics of this budget. So here our central government is introducing this budget, and every year on February 1st, they will introduce this budget in our parliament. So central government's budget is called as union government. Apart from this union government, every state, they have their own budgets. But we are talking about union budget or central government budget here. And if you are going to interview, then you have to see about your state's budget. Because UPSC can ask a question related to your state's budget or any new schemes or ongoing schemes or earlier schemes on which UPSC can ask a question in interview part. But mains and prelims, they won't touch your state related things. Only for your interview, you have to see your state related. For your mains and as well as prelims, you have to focus on only union budget. Okay, in constitutional terms, budget is nothing but annual financial statement. Actually, you have to remember that this word budget is nowhere mentioned in our constitution. Only annual financial statement is mentioned in our constitution. That too in one article, Article 112, Article 112. Please make a note, Article 112 talks about annual financial statement. And next line, budget word is not mentioned in our constitution. Budget word is not mentioned. So how can you get a question in your prelims is, consider the following statements related to union budget. And they'll give you article, first statement, Article 112 talks about annual financial statement. And they may give the second statement, budget is explicitly mentioned in our constitution. Budget is nowhere mentioned in our constitution. Only it is mentioned as annual financial statement under Article 112. So this is a thing that you have to remember. In this way, UPSC can make you to be trapped. And next one here is, the word budget itself does not appear in the constitution. And next one here is what this union budget includes. The first one here is government's development priorities for the next 1 year. Like if they want to come up with any scheme, for example, education, industry, semiconductors, or AI, whatever it may be, if they want to come up with any scheme related to the development, they will tell about their priorities for next 1 year. And next one here is they will also tell about what are the economic challenges and what are the opportunities we have. And this one here is how they are approaching towards the growth, welfare, infrastructure, and physical discipline. What is this physical discipline? How much amount of money they are getting and how much they are spending, and how they are balancing this gap. That is called as physical discipline. And next one here is they will also show a vision of resource mobilization. That means if they want to go for development for next 1 year, they need to have money, right? So how and where they are getting money, that is called as resource mobilization. And I said that every ministry will be giving their own, having their own demands. Like I want 100 crore rupees for this scheme. I want 1000 crore rupees for this scheme. So for that so and so scheme, how they are allocating the money for different ministries. That is also a thing that they are going to say in this budget. And who will prepare this? Very, very important prelims fact. Department of Economic Affairs. Please make a note. Budget is made by Department of Economic Affairs, which comes under Ministry of Finance. Under Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs will be making this budget. Okay, now let us see the process of passing of this budget. Okay, now you guys tell me why we have to pass this budget. Any idea? So now you know what this budget includes. Then why we have to pass this budget? Do you know about CFI? Consolidated Fund of India. We have Contingency Fund of India. We have Public Accounts of India. We have 3 funds. What is the difference between these 3 funds? CFI, Contingency Fund, and Public Accounts Fund. From which fund we can take out the money for the salaries, everything? Public fund? Come on. CFI? CFI? Okay, we will withdraw the money. So can we withdraw money without passing of those things in the parliament? No. So here, if you want to withdraw any money related for the development or related for the expenditure, we have to show why we need this money, right? That is this budget. So here, first of all, on every year on this February 1st, this budget is presented in the parliament. And who will present this? Our Union Finance Minister will present this budget. The first step in this budget process is the presentation of budget. And this budget is placed in both the houses. That is nothing but Lok Sabha and as well as Rajya Sabha. After once budget is placed, that means nothing but here every person in this parliament will be getting the documents of what the essential things which are there. That is nothing but every person will be getting this budget speech copies. And even that budget speech is read by our finance minister. That is the first step that happened in yesterday. Yesterday's news is entirely about this thing only. Our finance minister is reading about what about IT sector, what about infrastructure, what about rail corridors, what about semiconductor mission, what about agriculture, fertilizers, education related schemes, skill development related schemes, everything she read out. That is nothing but the budget speech. That is the first step. And after that, what happened? Now onwards, we are going to have this budget session, right? Budget session is the lengthiest session in our parliament. And from now onwards, what we'll do? We will be having discussions on this provisions. Whatever the thing which mainly said by finance minister, yes, there will be a discussion. For example, you know about the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. What is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan program is about? Education related, primary education related program. Recently we discussed that it is not doing good. Even though this year it got good funds. So opposition party, what they'll say? Yes, you are saying you are allocating this much amount for that program. Already in the last year, it is not working good. And even we discussed about Jal Jeevan Mission, right? What is this Jal Jeevan Mission? Providing drinking water through tap facilities in rural areas. What we discussed in last class? Yes, we reached that target, but people are not using that properly. Despite of that, now again in this budget, they got good allocation for this Jal Jeevan mission. So again, there is a chance of cross questioning by opposition parties and other members of parliament, right? So they will go for discussions on what are the provisions set by finance minister, and if opposition parties having any question, they may cross question this ministers now in this discussion. And after that, they will have broad debates. This people will be countering, this people will be countering, cross questioning. Sometimes it will also lead to war. So if you want entertainment, see these debates, guys. You will be getting good entertainment, like how these people are countering that and how that people are asking counter questions like that. You can enjoy that if you are that kind of mindset. Like if you want to enjoy this kind of ruckus like that, you can enjoy that a lot. Okay, and next one here is they will come up with the priorities finally after these discussions. And do you know about this token motions, policy cut motion? How many motions we have? Token motion, a token cut, policy cut, economic cut. For example, I'll give you an example here. Now, as we know, Jal Jeevan Mission is not used by the people. But even though this time they gave good allocation. So if opposition parties are not satisfied with this, what happened? For example, let us take 100 crore rupees have been allocated for that scheme. Now these people are arguing that no, we don't require that. So that 100 crores can be reduced to 50 crores or 60 crores. That is called as economic cut motion. And token cut motion is how much amount will be reduced? 100 rupees? Come on, think. And whatever policy cut motion, entire that policy can be removed. So here we will be having discussions, debate. After that, we will be come up with the top priorities. What can be done in this 1 year? And next one is we have standing committees of parliament. Normally in parliament, we have permanent committees and we have ad hoc committees. Permanent committees are nothing but departmental standing committees. Every department we have a standing committee. And ad hoc committees are nothing but if we have to look into that issue for temporary purpose, for temporarily we are going to establish a committee that is called as ad hoc committees. If that work is done, we are going to dismantle that kind of committees. So here every departments and every ministries, they have their own standing committees. So here what happens? So whatever the finalized things, what are the prioritized things that we got, again that will be sent to this standing committees for complete scrutiny of that policy. That is the next step. After that, what happens? This standing committees will be giving the reports. They will be giving their recommendations. Based on that, what happens? We will go for voting now. You know, yes and no voting. So if yes or more, obviously that will be passed. And finally, what we'll do here is we will pass this appropriation bill. After passing of this appropriation bill, we can withdraw the money from Consolidated Fund of India. So this is the process of budget. Have you understood? First one is presentation of budget. Presentation of budget is done by finance minister through their budget speech. After that, what happens? Discussions, debates, everything, and we'll come up with a priority. After coming up of priority, that will goes to this departmental standing committee and they'll go for complete scrutiny of that. And later on, the report will be submitted to the house. And based on that, we'll go for voting. After voting, we'll pass this appropriation bill. Then we can withdraw this money. If appropriation bill is not passed here, then our government will be not having authority to withdraw even a single rupee from this Consolidated Fund of India. Clear? So this is the process of passing of budget. And what are the documents which are there in this budget? First one is annual financial statement. And next one here is if we have any demand for grants, that will be coming under Article 113. And you know about this finance bill, right? We have finance bill A, type 1 and type 2. Do you have any idea? What is type 1 and type 2 finance bill? What is the difference, basic difference? I want a basic example to differentiate them. Okay, for example, I'm a mother. If I give money to my son to go to any tour, or to spend that money for his birthday party, or if you want to enjoy his day, I'm giving money. Will I get anything written on that? Any written? No. Any written. I will not get any written in the future on that. So that kind of bills comes under type 2 of financial bill. We are not going to get anything written. For example, if I am investing anywhere on the name of my son in future, for example, you can take bond market or share market or capital market or money market, whatever it may be. So if I'm investing in the name of my son in that, future I'll be getting interest. Yes or no? So in future, if I get something on that, that will comes under type 1 financial bill. Okay, for example, if you're giving any grants to other countries, do we get anything in written in future? Will they return back? No, that comes under finance bill type 2. If you're giving the same loans for other countries with minimal or nominal interest or whatever it may be, in future we can get some interest on that loans. That will comes under financial bill type 1. Are you understanding? So if you're going to expect something in future in written, then that will comes under financial bill type 1. If you're not going to expect anything in future, that will comes under finance bill type 2. So finance bill comes under article 110, guys. That will be also included. And next one here is fiscal policy, FRBM Act. What it will say is, it will say is about fiscal deficit, revenue deficit. Can you recall this thing? What is fiscal deficit? If you are having any debt, yes or no, that is called as deficit. So here we have FRBM Act, and this says about what is the target of maintaining fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. And here in this, we are going to give the details of how much expenditure we did in the last year, how much revenue we got, and how much deficit we have. That is about this this document. And this one is, we have macroeconomic framework statement, like how our macroeconomic indicators are working in our country. Now next one is, what is the fiscal policy of our government? So that will be also included. And apart from this, we are having other documents like expenditure budget, receipt budget, expenditure profile of our country, and also output monitoring framework, and what exactly the key features of this budget. And now there is no need of remembering any numbers case, like how much deficit we have. That number UPSC will never and never ask that. So just focus on the key features of this year budget. So in this key features, the first one is, now our government is focusing on 3 kartavyas, 3 important things. Okay, first one here is, they want to focus on growth of farmers, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, youth, women and poor. And next one here is, they wants to make our country Yuva Shakti driven budget this year. Especially we want to go for empowerment of youth. Especially we want to use our demographic dividend more in this year budget. And next one here is, the first important thing is, government will speed up growth by raising productivity and building resilience. First important kartavya, that means the objective that we need to reach is, we have to improve the growth, productivity, and we have to build resilience in our country. And second one is, we have to fulfill aspirations by improving skills and capacity of youth. And third one is, we have to align with Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. What is Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas? Sab means everyone. Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas? All together? All to grow. All to grow. Okay. We have to grow all together. That is the meaning of this Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, and we have to access this. How can we achieve like all together, growth together? Everyone should have access to resources, and everyone should have the opportunities to participate in our economy. So these are the 3 important aims of our government of India in this budget 2026. First one is growth. Second one is, we have to improve the skills. We are focusing on demographic dividend. And next one is Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. Okay, so to achieve this, all these 3, what government is focusing on? First one is, they said that we are continuously making structural reforms in our economy. Will you accept it or not? What kind of reforms that we made in our economy in the recent past? What are the reforms? GST 2.0. Apart from that, GST 2.0. Come on. Huh? Okay, labor codes, GST 2.0. Next. Infrastructure development. Next. Come on, think. Export reforms. Very good. Next. Speed. Okay, corridors. Next. Okay, MG Narega reforms. Okay, next. Vande Bharat. Okay, so here they are saying that we are having good financial sectors and we are mobilizing savings and managing risk. And they are saying that we are pushing for cutting edge technologies like AI applications and as well as governance. Recently, we discussed many articles. We are extending this AI in judiciary. We are extending this AI in banking sector and even the jails. Everywhere we are extending, right? So they said that we are having cutting edge technologies like AI in each and every nook and corner of our governance. And not only that, we came up around 250 types of reforms. So they said that around 350 plus reforms after Independence Day of 2025. For example, in shipping sector, we came up with the new laws. We removed age-old British era laws related to the ports. We discussed that. I don't know whether you can recall it or not. And even regarding giving of licenses, we abolished this license dart system and we are focusing on instant giving of license by using this different web portals. And we are going for ICT in our governance method so that we can track where our application is. And we removed this paper thing. We came up with this paperless things in our governance system. And next one here is, for example, GST simplification, labor codes notification, and even quality control orders government came up with. And because of these reforms, we are going to have a full momentum in our economy in the next year. That is the thing which mainly said by our government. And in this year budget, they are focusing on 6 important areas. First one here is Finance Minister proposed action in 6 areas. First one is they want to improve manufacturing. Why? Because we are already know that we are doing good in service sector and as well as agriculture sector, but industries where we are lagging behind. So now the present government wants to improve manufacturing. In this manufacturing also, they are not focusing on ordinary manufacturing. What exactly we need in this 21st century? What we need now in 2026? We need semiconductors, yes or no? We need critical minerals. We need rare earth metals, yes or no? So in this areas, they are focusing now in this manufacturing sector. I'll tell you where exactly and how. And next one is they want to rejuvenate legacy industries. There are certain industries which are the legacy of India. For example, iron and steel industries. In yesterday's class, we discussed about green steel. Yes or no? So like that, we are going for rejuvenating our legacy industries. And next one is we want to create MSMEs. Why we have to create more and more MSMEs? MSMEs are called as growth engines. Why? They can create huge employment opportunities and we can improve the standard of living of people. So they want to create MSMEs. And not only that, they want to push infrastructure. For that, they are coming up with new 7 rail corridors in our country. And next one is we want to ensure energy security. How can we ensure energy security? As you all know that US tariffs, Russian Sanction Act, we are going for diversifying of our crude oil. Apart from depending on this non-renewable energy, we can move towards renewable energy. Rather than using this diesel or petrol things, we can use this electric vehicles. That is the thing which mainly said here. We want to ensure energy security in our country. And we have to develop city economic regions. Why? Because urban areas, they are the hubs, yes or no? We can attract more and more labor from nearby towns, nearby rural areas, so that what happens? We can create some employment opportunities and even we can improve the standard of people, because what is happening in the rural areas now? Nowadays, migration is happening and even because of this climate change, agriculture productivity is not up to the mark. right? And even in agriculture, we cannot get 365 days, 24/7 job opportunities or employment opportunities. So here, to overcome that problem, our government wants to develop the city economic regions. So these are the areas of focus for next 1 year. And you have to remember this for sure, 6 things. Okay, now let us see the schemes which are announced, or new schemes which are announced in this manufacturing sector, and you have to know this. On these areas, you can expect a prelims based question in 2026. In manufacturing sector, especially, government announced Biopharma Shakti. What is this Biopharma Shakti? Especially related to the pharmaceutical sectors and biosimilars, government wants to increase its manufacturing. And you know, recently what happened in our pharmaceutical sector, we have lots of issues related to this cold syrup, right? Cold riff. Many children, they died in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh states. So here we want to improve this biosimilars and biologics through this Biopharma Shakti scheme. And note of remembering that how much allotment they are doing there. And next one here is they want to improve clinical trial sites in India. For that, they are going to come up with a new 3 clinical trial centers. In yesterday's or day before yesterday's class, I said about clinical trials. We have 4 phases, phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 1, 2 and 3 will happen before the drug is released into market. After once drug is released into market, we will be having phase 4 clinical trials. And if you are not having good clinical trials, what happens? We cannot encourage the safety and standards of the drug. For that, yes, our government is going to have 3 new clinical trial centers. And this one here is to improve semiconductors production in our country. Our government is coming up with Semiconductor Mission 2.0. We want to build equipment, that is infrastructure and as well as materials and full stack design in our country. We are not going to depend on other countries. On which countries we are going to depend on the semiconductors as of now? From which countries we are getting the semiconductors? Only China? Only China, very small country on which we are depending for semiconductors. Not Japan. It is South Korea. Okay, we are going to have this semiconductor mission. From now onwards, we are going to have full scale equipment, materials and full stack design related to the semiconductors in India. And next one is we are going to have electronics component scheme. Why we need this electronics component scheme? Is India good at electronics? If you buy any electronics, we can see made in Japan, made in China, made in Korea. Yes or no? Even if you take small fans also that we use in our day-to-day life, and even whatever the electronic goods that you are using, the best, very famous country we can say is made in China. Even though we know that it cannot work more than 1 month or 2 months, because of cheap cost, we'll go and we'll buy. That is the psychology of Indians actually. Yes or no? If the cost is 50 rupees more also, we'll not buy that. We'll buy the cheap product cost despite of knowing that it is not going to work more than 1 month or 15 days or like that. So here we are going to have electronics component scheme and we are going to produce electronic goods more and more in India. And next one here is why we need to have this electronics, because if we want to boost our electric vehicles and if we want to promote our FAME mission, obviously we need to have this kind of support to this electronic system in our country. And next one here is very important and you can expect prelims based question on this, I guess. Rare earth corridors. So our government will support rare earth corridors in 4 states. See whether your state is there or not. Odisha, Kerala, AP and Tamil Nadu. Odisha, Kerala, AP and Tamil Nadu. In these 4 states, government is going to support rare earth corridors. Why we need these rare earth corridors? If you want to produce semiconductors, if you want to produce any high-end technology, for sure, we need to have this semiconductor. We need to have this rare earth metals. Without this, we cannot do. So here, these areas are having good amounts of rare earth metals and we are promoting this rare earth corridors in this area. And this one is government is also promoting 3 chemical parks to cut import dependence from China. Even we are focusing on chemicals also. Especially in which area we can use these chemicals? Chemicals are used in agriculture, yes or no? whatever the pesticides, insecticides, or like urea or DAP, whatever the things that we'll use as a growers, as pesticides and insecticides will comes under chemicals. And actually India is very, very bad at producing this urea, and we are importing from other countries. Okay, so to overcome that problem and to improve agriculture sector in our country and to decrease the cost for farmers, government is also focusing on 3 new chemical parks in India. This is about your manufacturing. And if you see about this logistics, we are going to strengthen our construction and infra equipment in our country so that we can have fast transport system and we can improve infrastructure. And next one is we are also going for container manufacturing. Do you know these containers? So many movies like Singham, they'll show different containers. Containers are nothing but big iron related boxes that you can see, which are used for transportation purpose, especially through these waterways or even through this railways, cargo transport like that. So here we are going to have even container manufacturing in our country next year. And related to this textile, handloom and rural industry, our government launched integrated program, and in this integrated program we are focusing on labor intensive textile sector, where we are focusing on fibers, cluster modernization, handloom support, sustainable textiles and skilling. So actually we are coming across one word called as fast fashion. Have you heard this word fast fashion? Yes or no? Fast fashion. Girls, you might have. What is this fast fashion? Fast fashion. We are producing goods at a very faster rate, and that too we can get that goods at a very cheaper price. If you go to some markets, for 100 rupees you can get t-shirt. Yes or no? Then what happens? Are they sustainable? If you are going for fast fashion, nowadays youth are thinking that let me buy the 10 kind of t-shirts, each I will spend 100 rupees. So within 1000 rupees I can get 10 t-shirts. If I wear once and if I make one reel on that is also, it's okay. Is that the thing which is going on or not? Especially Gen Z? Gen Z are like that only. Rather than spending 1000 rupees on one shirt, I can get 10 t-shirts if I spend 1000 rupees. Yes? Then I can wear 10 days. I can make 10 reels. Yes or no? So what is happening here is, because of that fast fashion, the cost of goods is less, but it is leading to this lots of environmental waste. Okay, so here rather than going for that fast fashion, we have to go for sustainable textiling. Okay, in the sustainable textiling, we can promote environmentally degradable products. For example, from banana leaf fibers, we can make cloths. For example, jute fiber related cloths, and as well as cotton. So like that, we are focusing on sustainable textile. That is the thing which mainly said here. And for that, to improve the fiber and their quality in our country, our government came up with this national fiber scheme. They are focusing on self-reliance in natural fiber. So actually, if you go back to IVC period, at that time IVC used to produce finest cotton in India. Because of that, IVC is also called as Meluha. It is another name of IVC because of high quality production of cotton. And what happened was, in 1947, in this partition of India, so most of this fertile lands went to this Pakistan, where we used to grow high quality cotton. So what happens nowadays? BT cotton came into picture, and the quality of cotton in India got affected, right? So here we are focusing on national fiber mesh scheme, and here we are focusing on jute fibers and as well as cotton fibers and as well as banana fibers. And you know this water hyacinth, it is one of the invasive species that we can see in the water in India, and from that hyacinth also we are getting this fibers. And even lotus, do you know this lotus? From this lotus also we can get this fibers, if you have an idea. So like that, from different water aquatic plants also we can make the fibers, and we want to become self-reliant in this fibers under this national fiber scheme. And this one is, we are expanding textile and employment scheme. We are modernizing our traditional clusters, And even under this National Handloom and Handicraft Program, we are integrating already existing schemes and we are targeting this weavers and artisans. Why? Because what is happening in India here is because of this mechanization, industrial revolution, mostly these handlooms had been replaced with power looms. Do you know difference between power looms and handlooms? If you're from this community of Padmashalis, because I came from that community, I know exactly what is the difference between these power looms and as well as handlooms. So if you're making one sari, it will take like 10 to 12 days of time to make one sari on these handlooms. But by using power looms, it can be done within 1.5 to 2 hours only. So because of this, what happening here? Mostly we are focusing on profit orientation only, private people. So rather than going for this handlooms, you're going for this power looms. And what is happening here? More and more saris they are printing and they are manufacturing, and that leads to this. Whenever the cost is less for the saris which are made by this power looms, then what happens? Handloom will be taking the cost will be very high. So because of this, people mindset is like if they are getting that same kind of sari by using this power looms at a low cost, they will obviously purchase that. So because of this, the traditional artisans from generations onwards who are dependent on this handlooms, they are getting losses. So to protect them, government is coming up with this National Handloom and Handicraft Program. And next one here is we have this Tex Eco Initiative, very important, please make a note. Tex Eco Initiative, they are promoting globally competitive and sustainable textiles and apparels now. And next one is we have Samarth 2.0 program, where we are focusing on modernizing and upskilling of our textiles in India. And we have mega textile parks to promote our goods. And at local levels, we have Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative. They are focusing on khadi, handloom and handicrafts. And not only that, do you watch sports, anyone? Like kabaddi or like hockey, cricket, football, whatever it may be, they wear certain kind of dress. What is the dress name? Sports dress. There will be certain name, no? There will be certain name for that. I can't recall that right now. That's what I asked you. One name will be there particularly. So here government is also focusing on promoting of sports related equipments and as well as related dresses also. For that also we are going to have a dedicated initiative. Why? Because government is also improving its sports through this Khelo India program. Do you know this Khelo India program? And you may get one interview question like, yes, India is doing good in all arena, but why we are getting less number of medals in Olympics? If you are keeping these hobbies like watching cricket, playing cricket, or like football, if you have any kind of this kind of hobbies related to sports, the first question they will ask here is why? Even though Khelo India it is one government program, is that not doing good? What is your opinion? Why India is getting less medals? Why parents are not sending their children to the sports academies? Like that, you will be getting questions if you are keeping sports column. Okay, you have to be well prepared. Okay. Yeah, see this next one is infrastructure. For infrastructure, government came up with increasing of capital expenditure. This is the first article, first title in your front page, CAPEX. CAPEX is nothing but capital expenditure. Government wants to improve its infrastructure. For example, roadways, railways, dams, etc., whatever it may be. And government is creating infrastructure risk guarantee fund for the lenders. So normally you know that if you see any roadways development project or railways development project, they'll give tenders. If they are giving tenders, they will who will get the tenders? They will be not having entire that amount of money in their hands to start that project. What they'll do? They'll go for banks and they will go for getting of loans. To give the loans for this infrastructure related people, government came up with this infrastructure risk guarantee fund. Why government came up with this infrastructure risk guarantee fund? What do you think? What do you think? Come on, tell me. Come on, tell me. If these builders are getting loans from the banks, will they pay within time? Always this infrastructure project will be taking many years to be completed. Will it happen in 6 months or 7 months or 10 months or 1 year? No. Then what happened? They need to get long-term loans. If banks are giving long-term loans, if in that period, if these builders cannot pay the money back, means what happens? That will lead to increased NPA problems in banks. What is NPA? Non-performing assets, right? So for that, to avoid that problem, government came up with this infrastructure risk guarantee fund to be given as loans to this builders. Okay, next one is green freight connectivity. What is this freight? Freight means? Freight means someone said. What is this freight? If you goods, yes, very good. So in trains, we have two types of trains. First one is passenger trains. That means it will be carrying you and me, like the normal people. And we have freight. Freight is nothing but only goods. Have you ever seen? When I was child, my school is very much near to this railway track. We used to count how many containers are there for this goods train. There will be more than 40 only. And if we are seeing that goods train, we'll be getting certain kind of excitement. I saw a goods train today. And we will be also counting this wagons which will be filled with coal. We can see that coal, it is filled with coal like that. We used to have that kind of excitement. So actually in the trains, we have two types of trains. First one is passenger train, second one is goods train. Actually the problem with this freight corridor here is, if there is any crossing, which train will be stopped, passenger train or goods train? Goods train. So because of this, what happened? The time taken for the traveling or the reaching or transportation will be obviously high. And even most of this goods train are till today coal based or diesel based. So now we are going to have green freight corridors. Okay, and next one here is in coastal regions, we are focusing on coastal cargo promotion scheme. And even government will operationalize 2 new national waterways in 5 years. How many waterways we have? National waterways as of now? Any idea? Okay, tell me major rivers in India. Ganga. Major. Ganga, Brahmaputra. Keep Indus aside. Okay, next. Godavari, Krishna.
Kaveri.
Kaveri. So as of now, we have 5 national waterways. And try to make the list of those 5 national waterways, and you have to by heart those 5, because in our budget they said that we are going to have 20 new national waterways in 5 years. It is not a small thing which is going to happen in India. It is going to revolutionize our inland waterways. Okay, so here you have to make the list of those 5 waterways, national waterways in India as of now. And in case in next 5 years, we will be getting updates regarding which are the new waterways which will be added by the government of India, and then you can add those things. Okay, as of now, there is no clarity like what are those 20 waterways. And next one here is climate related things. So government is also coming up with certain budget so that we can control this climate change in our country. Government is coming up with carbon capture related technology in our country. And next one is regarding city economic regions. We are going for 7 high-speed rail corridors. Please make a note. 7 high-speed rail corridors. They are going to connect key cities, very important cities. First one is Mumbai, Pune. First one is Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bangalore, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Bangalore, Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. Okay, so here you may get a question on this 7 new rail corridors. Okay, see Hyderabad is connected to Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, 3 areas. Bangalore is also connected to Hyderabad and Chennai. Okay. And next one is related to job creation. We are going to have 1 lakh allied health professionals in 5 years. Okay, so normally in healthcare we have doctors, we have nurses, and we have supporting staff. They are saying that we are going to increase supporting staff professionals in our country. And next one is we are also going to train around 1.5 lakh caregivers also. Why? Because nowadays there is increased elderly population in our country, especially in the states like southern states. there is a threat of increasing of old age population, right? So for them, obviously, caregivers is very important. They are going to improve this caregivers. And next one is we are going to have 3 new all India institutes of Ayurveda also. That means we are going to increase the number of medical things. Yeah, and next one is related to agriculture, women and social justice. We are going to have 500 reservoirs and Amrit Sarovars, and we are going to have animal husbandry support. And especially this year, for sure, you may get question regarding coconut. Coconut. Please keep star mark. Students who are going to write this year prelims, you can expect question on coconut. Why coconut? Recently we discussed that southern states are facing certain disease. What is the name of the disease? Anyone? Ah, very good memory. Very good. Ah, root wilt disease. Very good. Root wilt disease. Okay, what happens in that disease? Leaves will be shred and even the coconuts will fall off. So that what happens? It will causes huge losses to this farmer. It will not lead to the complete death of that plant. We discussed that, right? So here now government is also focusing on high value crops like coconut, cashew, cocoa and sandalwood, agarwood and nuts. And they are coming up with Bharat Vitsar. It is nothing but virtually integrated system to access agriculture resources, and even government is focusing on agri stock. They are nothing but online based systems so that we can enhance this sales of that goods. And this one here is we are also empowering women through this She Help Entrepreneur Marts. They are going to get credit under this She Marts. You can use this example while you are writing an answer related to women empowerment. Okay. And next in the northeastern area, we are focusing on East Coast Industrial Corridor, and we are going for creation of 5 tourism destinations in northeastern states, and they are going to provide e-buses, electric buses, and even we are going to cover Buddhist circuit. Okay, and some students, they will also keep this hobbies like visiting religious places, like temples. You will be getting questions on this Ram circuit, Buddhist circuit, like that. And even Prasad scheme, you will be getting questions on that. You have to be very much careful. And very important thing, this year budget, they announced that we are going to accept the recommendations of 16th Finance Commission. In our earlier classes, I said that we will be getting 16th Finance Commission. You have to make notes on that. We have to see the recommendations, what they are saying, everything. Can you recall? Gurtunda, Chepnattanna. So here in this budget, our finance minister said that, yes, we are going to accept the recommendations of 16th Finance Commission, and 16th Finance Commission recommended the same thing which recommended by 15th Finance Commission, and they said that they have to give 41% of tax devolution. Central government will be imposing income tax, corporate tax, GST, whatever the taxes they collected. Among that, 41% they have to distribute to the states. That is about this 16th Finance Commission recommendation. And we discussed that the problem with this devolution is cess and surcharge. Will be added or not added? Cess and surcharge will be included in this tax devolution or not? We discussed one editorial regarding that. Very good. It will be not added. So that is a major problem, right? So the same thing had been retained here. So they are going to give only the taxes. They will be not sharing this cess and as well as surcharge which is collected by central government to the states. So that is the thing which mainly said, guys. And now we completed with this year budget. Now tell me, what are the advantages of this budget? What are the pros? What can we expect? Can we expect growth or not? So can you tell me some examples or substantiation? How can we expect growth? Infrastructure development, corridors, semiconductor mission, critical rare minerals corridor. Next, logistics, agriculture development, entrepreneurship of women. Okay, biopharma. Okay, so obviously we can create employment opportunities. We can improve growth. Development of country can happen. Then what are the loopholes? So first advantage here is we are going to have a strong physical consolidation, and it is a massive infrastructure push so that we can create jobs, and as well as logistic efficiency, we can improve connectivity between the areas, and we can boost domestic manufacturing because of rare earth corridors, semiconductor mission, chemical parks, and we can reduce our import dependency on China because of all these things. We can save our forex reserves. And this budget is inclusive because we are including women, we are including youth, farmers, everyone will be included here. And of course, in the long term, if you are maintaining a good balance sheet, obviously we can ensure GDP growth by this budget. But what are the disadvantages here is they are modest and gradual rather than bold reforms. Every time we will see that thing only. There is nothing much new. Bold reforms are not there. And next one here is some areas we can see higher taxes, and especially there is limited direct relief for the middle class people and consumers. And next one here is reliance on public capex is increasing, but they are not focusing on private people. If public is spending more and more, it will lead to the burden on this government in the long term. That is the thing which mainly said. And even we have certain external shocks like private investments are decreasing, global shocks like tariffs, etc., but they are ignored. Okay, so these are the drawbacks. Okay, first one here you can see rare earth corridors to cut Chinese imports. Whatever the things that we discussed, most of the articles are that only. So here you have to see that 4 states. I said no. What are those 4 states? Kerala, Odisha, AP, Tamil Nadu. Okay, so what are this rare earth corridors is nothing but we are going to promote domestic mining. So what we do here is in these 4 states we are going to promote mining, processing, research and manufacturing. Why? We have to decrease the reliance on China, especially on imports. We are going to produce which goods? Electric vehicles, renewable energy related things, electronics, defense and high industries. Those are the 4 states. Okay, see this next one, tax devolution for states at 41%. That is the last point we discussed. 16th Finance Commission said that 41% has to be given to states, and it will include what? It will include income tax, corporate tax, GST and custom duties, but it will not include cess and surcharge. That is a major point that you have to remember. And next one here is labor incentive, textile sector, MSMEs to get new schemes. Already I said about these new schemes also. There is National Fiber Mission, and next I said about Textile Expansion Employment Scheme, and I said about Eco Initiative. Okay, so those things. And next here you can see budget ignores unemployment, social security and trade unions. So this is also one drawback. Actually they didn't talk about this Pradhan Mantri Vikasit Bharat Rozgar Yojana. That means you are not focusing on social security of the people. And next one is coconut, cocoa, sandalwood get special attention. So here you can see one fact here. Please make a note. India is the world's largest producer of coconuts. Okay, so because of this we are going to protect these coconuts and try to collect each and every data that is possible. You can please make a note of this coconut. For sure you'll get question. And after getting question, if you are doing that wrong, don't blame me after that. Okay, I'm intimating you earlier itself. It is your duty. And next, more money and new schemes for livestock and fishery schemes. That is nothing but the 500 reservoirs, Amrit Sarovars. Yeah, that's it, guys. And next one, booster shot for education and skilling. We are focusing on education and skilling, especially we are focusing on skill development. We are focusing on Ayurvedic 3 institutions. So like that is the thing which mainly given here, nothing more than that. And semiconductor mission, I said. So almost all articles are related to the things what I said. So just your work is just to mug up that thing, and I'll be sharing you one PDF in the group. Just to go through that clearly, and if they're giving any scheme in that, try to focus on that scheme, and they will be the most possible questions in your prelims. See these questions, guys. Assertion and reasoning based question. The union budget is described as emphasizing Yuva Shakti driven growth. Reason is it focuses on youth skilling, employment generation, enterprise creation as part of fulfilling aspirations towards Viksit Bharat. Huh? Come on. Okay, see this next question. Consider the following statements regarding rare earth corridors announced in Union Budget. Dedicated rare earth corridors to be established in mineral-rich coastal states. The states specifically mentioned are Odisha, Kerala, AP, and Tamil Nadu. The initiative aims to promote mining, processing, research, and manufacturing to reduce import dependence. That's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to Rathod Science Academy. And if you want to start your UPSC preparation, we are going to launch new GS Prelims Cum Mains Foundation batch, guys, within 3 to 4 days. And if you have any queries regarding this course, you can contact us on this number 8074765513. Or else you can directly visit our academy in Hyderabad, in Ashok Nagar, exactly above Vikas Books Address, 2nd and 3rd floor, guys. Thank you so much for watching.